You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey everybody, I'm back. We are finally going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just before the series finale tonight. So let's catch up on that. And let me hear what your thoughts are too. So stick around for the Dan Wickline Show. All right, everybody, I am back. We are the Dan Wickline Show here. I may not seem completely cognizant. That's because I'm still under the weather, but trying to get over it, working my way back. I will be around also for tonight's in-stores this week, where I'll be joined by Jay, and we'll go over books this week like the new Samurai Sonia from Dynamite, The Loneliest Hunters, and Something is Killing the Children, number 24. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And a few other books tonight. So you want to stick around for that. I don't know about the rest of the lineup today. I know that it doesn't look like we're going to have Black Comic Universe, but that should be returning soon. And Minute to Skim It is questionable because of something happened to Miss Jen's. Her father passed. We send our love and condolences to Miss Jen and her family. Also, I wanted to talk about another passing recently. I haven't had a chance to talk about it since it happened, but the comic industry lost Tim Sale last week. And Tim was a great person. Just everybody loved him. That should be the first thing. But Tim was also an incredibly unique artist. He could take a character. He and Jeff Loeb did a series of books, series that would define characters at their essence. There was a Superman for All Seasons. There was Batman the Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Also the follow-up Catwoman When in Rome. There were the color series over at Marvel. Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Hulk Gray, Captain America White. And these were just phenomenal, quintessential, character-defining series that would take something about a character and expand it to its essence. And Tim's work matched that. I mean, Jeff Loeb's writing on it is phenomenal. And I don't have a lot of favorite writers and stuff like that, but I do find that a lot of my favorite stories are written by Jeff Loeb. Again, Long Halloween, Hush, stuff like that. His team-ups with Tim Sale are second to none. They really are. If you see a graphic novel at the store that says Loeb and Sale, pick it up. You won't be disappointed. I don't care which one it is. If it's a character you've never read before, a character you know nothing about, or an era that you know nothing about. Daredevil in his yellow suit. Spider-Man when he would be before the return of Gwen Stacy and Spider-Gwen and all that. They helped define his relationship with Gwen Stacy. Just Hulk when he was gray, when he was first created. You know, the Hulk was gray when he was first created, right? Seriously, JD. Sales art was something that when you saw it, you knew it was him. And there was just a life to it, a uniqueness to it. And he passed way too soon, way too young. He was only, I want to say, 66. He was only in his mid-60s. And again, that's just way too young in this day and age. When our president is almost 80, passing at 66 is way, way too young. So my condolences to his family, to his friends, to his peers, and to his fans. Gone way too soon. So Godspeed, Mr. Sale. Josh says, I mentioned the other experience show, but I was totally out of comics in the mid-90s and seeing the art in The Long Halloween single-handedly what's brought me back in. Yeah. The Long Halloween is one of the quintessential Batman stories. And it's also been the inspiration for a lot of what they did with the Christian Bale Batman, what Matt Reeves did with the recent Batman. It's the go-to, you know. JD says Sale had his own style, that's for sure. His books stood out on the racks. Yeah, they definitely did. And there aren't that many. I mean, nowadays you get a lot of cookie cutter artists that you look at their work and it's like, okay, it could be one of 6 people. You know, Tim Sale was not that. There's been no one else who, and there's no one coming along that draws like Tim Sale. I mean, even someone as unique as Mike Mignola, there's a couple artists out there that you look at and you go, is that Mignola? Oh no, it's Ryan Sook, or oh no, it's this, because they do some similar stuff. And I'm not saying Ryan Sook is copying Mignola, but there's some similarities. Tim Sale was unique. How he drew Superman, how he drew Batman, every character was unique. And he's going to be sorely missed. So, all right. Did Sale ever work on Grendel? I don't know. I'm not that familiar with his early work. I know he did like a Bloodshot cover for Valiant. But again, don't know a lot outside of the main 2 that he did. But he did, I remember seeing something recently that he started with. Grendel would have been a great book for him. You're right. Yeah, that would have been a good book for him. All right, let's get on to Kenobi. But I do want to address one thing about, right now we have 2 series coming out at the same time. We have Kenobi and we have Miss Marvel. And we're seeing a lot of reports that Miss Marvel's numbers are down. And you got to remember that Marvel is currently doing books or a series on characters that don't have a following, that didn't come from the movies. You know, Hawkeye started in the Avengers, or Thor actually. WandaVision started in the Avengers. Loki started in Thor. every series in the first batch came from one of the movies. Moon Knight was unique, but Moon Knight also came out on its own. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, Jay says that he did a few Devil's Reign and Devil's Child issues. Now I'm going to have to look those up too. I was a big Grendel fan when growing up, but I was buying during the Pander Brothers. So when it was Christine Spar was Grendel. Yep, rest in paradise. Thank you, Ouroboros. So I wouldn't put much into the idea that the Miss Marvel numbers are low, because they're not horribly low. It's like there's 750,000 compared to 1 million. Maybe they're a quarter down over the other series. And it could be that Kenobi is the one getting the attention right now. Kenobi ends tomorrow night. Miss Marvel goes on for 3 additional episodes after that. So I expect to see Miss Marvel's numbers start to go up. And the overall reviews on the series have been very positive. You know, there's some negativity, but there's a bunch of jackholes out there who go after anything that is not your basic white male superhero. So I wouldn't put much stock into that. It's a good series. I've enjoyed it so far. It's not even geared towards me. I wouldn't call it something I would normally watch, and I'm enjoying it. So it's geared towards a little younger audience. And I think the younger audiences also like to binge watch things. You know, they're not as much into the week by week. So a lot of them are probably sitting back, waiting till it's all done, and then going to watch it all at once. So don't put much stock into the numbers on that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Kenobi. Now, last time I actually was on and we talked about it, I think we were about 2 episodes in, maybe 3. And we really were just getting the beginning of the series. And what they were establishing was how disconnected from the Force Obi-Wan had become. Oh, Josh says, although the actors are great, there's no star power in Miss Marvel either. Also, it's not really connected to the larger stuff. It didn't like Loki, but I watched it to see what happened with Kang. I think it's going to be connected. That's the thing to keep in mind, is that she's going to be a prominent player in the Marvels. So what they're setting up now is going to be a big part of the Marvels movie. And don't be surprised if she is completely connected to the Kree. So I think it's going to be an important series. Just keep that in mind. All right. So the first 2 episodes to me were really establishing how 10 years the source of the Miss Marvel report is Samba TV. Can't trust him in a good faith. Okay. True, just saying, I think those are reasons for current low viewership. You could be right, Josh. There isn't that immediate draw where Moon Knight at least had Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. So there's not a lot of big names in Miss Marvel. So, but hopefully you'll start getting more attention because it is a good show. The 3rd episode to me is where the series really picked up. And not even the full 3rd episode. We met Talia in the 3rd episode. We get Vader in the 3rd episode. And we get a Vader that is angry, bitter, full of revenge, whose only desire is to torture Kenobi. Not capture, not kill. He wants to torture him. And when it's obvious that he's not at that state to be properly tortured, Vader kind of lets him go. Because, at least it seems, because it seems like Vader could have got him back or could have kept him. I think he needed Kenobi to have a chance to recover and to recoup a bit. The fourth episode could have been called When Kenobi Got His Groove Back. Because at that point, it was no longer about staying hidden. It was no longer about protecting Luke, keeping the secret. It was all about getting Leia back. And we see him reconnecting to the Force. And it's not easy. It's not just like a light switch. He just pops it back on. He has to reach out, and he has to be pushed to reach. I mean, in the second episode, we see him use the Force to catch Leia when she's falling. In the third episode, he really doesn't use it. He tries to use his lightsaber, but it's defensive only. It isn't until he can actually have a purpose that he has to go get Leia that he even tries to just move an object. And then once he gets in there and he's trying is when things start to click. And the moment that we really see him become Obi-Wan again. I mean, up until then, he's Ben. Just Ben Kenobi. He becomes Obi-Wan again when he's in that hallway and he's fighting all those stormtroopers and he's hitting back the bolts and he's about to stop the water from coming in, and you see that little twirl with the lightsaber. And that's all the old muscle memory coming back. That's all the old momentum coming back. That's him becoming Obi-Wan once more. And I know a lot of people complained about that. That basically for 3 episodes, he's just getting thrown around. They wanted to come in and see Jedi Jesus, basically. They wanted to see him come in and just kick ass. But that's not where he was. He was traumatized by the end of the prequels. Anakin was his brother, and he betrayed him. And Padme was killed, who he had great respect for and caring for. And the entire Jedi Order, which was his life, was brought crashing down. Basically, Ben was dealing with PTSD. It was just completely disconnected. I mean, when he buried his lightsaber in the desert, he couldn't commune with Qui-Gon, even though Yoda probably taught him what to do. So finding a purpose, finding a reason to reconnect to the Force, finding he had to use it, that's what brought him back. And there was some funny things about episode 4. Them silly stuff. It was definitely Star Wars. The whole idea of Talia just being able to find, con her way in and work a console and give him information while sitting there. That was all just classic Star Wars stuff. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but you go with it. The trying to escape with the trench coat on, silly. If you think about it for a minute, it's just silly. But when you're watching the episode, you don't care. That's the whole idea. I mean, these were basically children's movies that we watched in the 70s when we were children. So now there's still the same type of movies and shows, but we're watching them as adults with a much more jaundiced eye, a much more jaded look at these things. And you have to put that aside and remember what these were to you as a kid is when they work. So when I watched episode 4, I didn't care that he was getting her out under a trench coat. That anybody could have turned and went, why do you have a pair of extra feet down there? Or the fact that there had never been trench coats in Star Wars on Imperial troopers until then. I think they set up one scene beforehand to show somebody wearing one. Convenient, but it was good. Then we got episode 5. And we're going to talk about episode 5 right after this commercial break. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We are talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the first 5 episodes, with the sixth episode finale dropping tonight. Before we get back into it, though, I want to point out this is my comic of the week, pick of the week, whatever you want to call it. It's Champions #1. This is the John Cassidy exclusive cover from Dynamic Forces. There is this version, and then I might have it over here. There's this awesome black and white version. Both are available with certificate of authenticity from Dynamic Forces. Now, I point these out. This is my pick of the week because it's got Miss Marvel, along with Amadeus Cho as the awesome Incredible Hulk, or whatever his name is, Miles Morales. You've got Nova, who's getting his own series, Vision, and Cyclops. Still not sure how Cyclops ends up on that team of kids. But those are the champions, and you can get those over at dynamicforces.com. So check it out. It's a great book. It's the first issue of that series, and the John Cassidy cover is just gorgeous. So that's I picked this one up myself, and that's why it's my pick of the week. So check it out over at dynamicforces.com. Remember, tonight I will be back with Jay, who's currently producing the show, and we will be talking about books in stores this week, including the new book, The Loneliest Hunter. We'll be talking about the new Samurai Sonia from Dynamite, along with Elvira in Horrorland #2. We'll be looking at Armor Clads #4 from Valiant, and a few other books. So you'll want to tune in for that. Mark, hey, good to see you. I'm feeling about 70%. I'm working my way back, but I can't stay off the show too long, so I definitely wanted to get back on, because all these great shows like Miss Marvel, Kenobi, and stuff like that, don't want to miss them. And I'm really liking Miss Marvel. You're not digging it that much? Well, hopefully it'll pick up for you. We get the 3rd episode tonight. I will be talking about The Boys tomorrow, and we'll be talking about Miss Marvel on Thursday. Then we'll come back and talk about the season finale of Kenobi next Tuesday, and go from there. So Jay says, remember to hit that thumbs up and sub buttons and all that stuff. You know the stuff to do. The more you guys do that stuff, it helps us out. It's greatly appreciated. Sharing the links, those kind of things, it helps us out. Eventually, we want to get to the point where we've got a huge community around this show and around the experience. So when you come on, you guys are part of the family. You know, Josh and Mark and all you guys, you're great. We just want more of you, you know, so we can have big conversations. So, all right, let's get back into Kenobi. Episode 5, to me, is really where this series has been going. We start off with the battle between younger Anakin and younger Kenobi, and it looks like it's around the same place where in the prequel series Anakin walks in and finds the little children. The one looks up, goes, you know, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What do we do? It looks like it's that same location. So it's the Jedi Temple, and they're training. And I felt almost like it was an episode of Arrow, because we had a flashback that kind of fed into the episode. And we see this flashback, and not knowing what he would become, it wouldn't mean much. But when you realize the path he's on, you start seeing how aggressive and angry Anakin is, even in a training session with his master. All he cares about at that point is winning. He doesn't care about becoming the better Jedi, about learning. He cares about being the best. And I'm not sure exactly where this is story-wise. I know he's got the lightsaber he has prior to them being captured on the Separatist planet. So you can kind of figure out where that is. But so it's still a young Anakin. I think it's before the whole thing with his mother. But you can see that aggression building. You can still see that built into him. And maybe that's something that Obi-Wan should have seen. Hey, Kenneth, how you doing? Maybe that's something Obi-Wan should have tried to address more. But I think Obi-Wan was focused on keeping his word to Qui-Gon to train Anakin. And his basic love for Anakin as a brother. Now, we learn in the third episode that Obi-Wan possibly had a brother. We don't know anything about him. He was a baby, so he was younger. That part confuses me because Obi-Wan was supposed to be taken from his family before he was 6 months old. So it possibly was a twin brother. But unless they're changing canon, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So it could have been a twin brother, but it could have been Obi-Wan was a little older than canon says. But it could be that missing brother. Anakin kind of took that place in his life as a surrogate brother. And Obi-Wan felt protective towards him. Throw on his promise to train him to Qui-Gon, which he wants to, definitely do. It may have made him turn a blind eye to some of the things that a more experienced Jedi Master, because you got to remember, he hadn't been a Jedi Master for long when he took on Anakin. He had just become a Jedi Master. If anything, it's kind of the failings of Yoda and Mace Windu and the Council to have let such an inexperienced Jedi Master train someone as powerful as Anakin. Maybe Mace or Yoda himself should have trained him. Could have been different. But I think Obi-Wan was kind of blinded to that. I mean, he saw it, and he brings it out in that training session. And, of course, he uses it later on in the episode. But it just seems like a more experienced Jedi Master would have seen it in a Padawan and maybe have dealt with it better. And maybe we never would have gotten Darth Vader. The episode also takes us to Jabim, which allows us to all learn how you pronounce a name with two I's next to each other. Jabim. Why would you name a planet that? And we see basically the center of the path. And we see Roken as kind of I don't know about the head of it, but he's definitely the guy that makes things happen. And we see Riva's plan in effect as soon as Lola gets into the wires and fries things. So they get locked into their base. Now, I noticed that Obi-Wan never tried to open it with his force powers. Seemed like that would have been at least worth a try. But anyway, what we see then is Ben or Obi-Wan trying to outsmart Vader. And we get confirmation of something I think all of us believed from the very beginning. That Riva was one of the younglings that was attacked at the Jedi Temple by Anakin. But what we don't realize is that she's worked her way up as the third sister, not because she buys into the dark side, which she kind of does by the fact that she wants revenge, but she's just out to kill Anakin. That's her only purpose. And once Obi-Wan realizes that, he knows he has a weapon to use against Vader. Now, I don't know if he was foolish enough to believe that it would be a weapon that would kill Vader. But I do believe that he looked at her as a weapon at that point. Josh says, in a sense, Vader was inevitable to restore balance by eventually chucking the Emperor off a bridge. Obi-Wan was just a dude who had to bear the brunt of Anakin and get no credit. So you're saying it was all the long game. All right. Yeah, I could see that. He had to deal with Anakin up until he turned. Then he had to deal with Luke to basically get Luke ready to confront Anakin, to bring him around back to the side of light so that he would chuck Emperor off the bridge. So, yeah. So basically Obi-Wan is the reason that the balance returns to the Force. Interesting way to look at it. So they get locked in on the planet. And all the troopers are sieging. And there's another one of those silly moments where Riva and Kenobi are talking at the door. And it's where we find out that Riva was a youngling, and that's how she knows Anakin is Vader. We learn all that. But then she pulls out her lightsaber and just opens the door. Now you could say all the blasts from the cannon loosened the door up, weakened it so she could do that. Still, it seems like she should have been able to do that earlier. Just saying. But then we get the doors open, this big fight between the troopers and the resistance. And of course we get not only Talia's death, but we get the death of Ned B. And there is something about Star Wars, and I don't know how they do it, but they get us to care about droids. When IG-11 dies in The Mandalorian, a lot of people are upset. And this is the same droid that wanted to kill baby Grogu in the first episode. Suddenly, we're upset that he's dead. Ned B is only around for 3 episodes. And he's barely in the second. And we're all sad that Ned B is dead. He doesn't say a word. No beeps, no grunts, no effeminate British accents, nothing. And we're all upset. And looking to see when Hot Toys is going to come out with the Ned B figure. I don't know how they do that. It's like Lola toys are selling out like crazy. I haven't seen anything special about Lola. Jay says he blames Wally for loving robots. Could be. Absolutely could be. But we lose those two. And we finally get to see a thermal detonator go off. They're threatened so often, but how many times do we actually get to see them go off? So we see a thermal detonator go off. And I think Ned B was carrying it. Why did the droid have a thermal detonator? And we lose Talia, who was one of the more interesting characters in the series. I mean, we really haven't spent any time with anybody but Leia and Ben to really get to know them. I mean, Naja, Kamal Najani's character, he's somewhat interesting, but he keeps coming back, and I haven't really gotten to like him. Most of the time, he's complaining. But Talia, we actually got to know her backstory. We got to care about her. Dead. So, but it's that moment that Vader goes, stop. He's going to surrender. And that's that moment we go back to the fighting and we see that they know each other because of this. They know what each other's going to do. But Anakin lost that duel. So you would think that him going, Kenobi's going to, sacrifice himself to save the others, would know that there was a trick coming. Because there was a trick in the duel. And maybe he does see it and still goes for it. I don't know. But we'll talk about that right after this break. We'll be right back.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at the experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody? Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the damn Wickline show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Dan Wickline show here on The Experience. And we are talking about Kenobi with the series finale tonight. Now, of course, we got some really awesome action at the end of the episode. We got to see probably Vader at his strongest, pulling back that starship. And I thought that was interesting and a missed opportunity at the same time. While he was struggling to pull back the ship, it seems like that's the point that Reva should have attacked. While he was distracted. But she waited until he pulled it in, pulled it apart, and the other ship took off. So it seems like a lost opportunity for her there. But then we get to see a fight between him and Reva, the third sister. And it's not really a fight. It's like he's toying with her. He never pulls out his lightsaber. He's basically just pushing her around with the Force. Takes her lightsaber away from her at one point, breaks it in half, and uses her own lightsaber to stab her. And then we see the return of the Grand Inquisitor, which for all the people who are like, oh my God, they killed the Grand Inquisitor. What's going to happen? It's going to ruin all continuity. Oh my God. He's fine. Turns out that race has two stomachs. You stab them in one, they're still going to probably be okay. But then again, stabbing somebody with a lightsaber doesn't seem to do a whole lot anymore. Because it looks like Reva's alive at the end, and she got stabbed. Which makes you think Qui-Gon's up there in Jedi limbo or wherever he's hanging out going, what the hell? Why am I not still alive? Cutting somebody in half doesn't do it. Little stab in Qui-Gon Jinn. Done. And how come nobody's put out a Qui-Gon Jinn? You think that would make some good money? I'll take a Qui-Gon gin. Thanks. Easy on the vermouth. So, tonight's episode, what will we see? It seems like we're going towards a showdown on Tatooine. The writer of the series has said that they know how Leia addresses Obi-Wan in A New Hope. As General Kenobi, during the Clone Wars, you served my father. Very formal. And you would think, after how close the two of them have gotten in this series, you wouldn't get such a formal greeting. It'd be more like, "Hey, Obi-Wan, I'm in trouble, help!" But it's more professional. Well, the writer says that they're cognizant of that and will address it, which makes me think there's a mind wipe coming. Which, I don't know, just seems like I kind of like the idea of her knowing Ben. And maybe he tells her, "You can never tell anybody you know me. It's dangerous for you. You have to pretend we've never met." I think that makes more sense because there's a couple things that happen. Like when Luke gets into the prison cell in A New Hope and says, "I'm with Ben Kenobi." And suddenly she lights up. Or the fact she names her kid Ben. Seems like there's a bigger connection there than just, "You served my father in the Clone Wars." So I don't know how they'll handle it, but they're supposed to be handling it. Will we get an epic battle between Kenobi and Vader? I don't think I want one. I think what we've got has been good enough. If he does, I mean, if there is one, then Kenobi has to win for him to later on go, "Well, and he's got to say something like, 'You're still my Padawan,' or 'You're still learning,' or something like that to justify that now I am the master line." So there's a lot of things they have to connect the dots on. But I have a feeling they will. You don't go into something like this not knowing what your end goal is. So I expect that if nothing else, it may not be a satisfying ending. It may not be exactly what everybody wants, but I think it'll end in such a way, unless they're doing a season 2, by the way, it'll end in such a way that we have closure, that it will connect to A New Hope, which will take place 9 years later. It doesn't mean they can't do another series. They could do another series and not deal with Vader. We could have him go look for his mysterious brother. A lot of things they could do. We could find out that Biggs was a plant. A lot of interesting things they could do. Josh says, "I just want an epic battle between Kenobi in the desert whale butcher boss guy. Screw that guy. That would be cool to have him go back and scare the hell out of the, or just use the Jedi mind trick on him. You deserve 2 times the pay today. You deserve 2 pay today. That would be interesting. So we'll see how it wraps up. And like I said, we'll talk about it next Tuesday. So tonight we get the Kenobi finale. We get the 3rd episode of Miss Marvel, which should be interesting now that things are starting to roll. You know, we got the Department of Damage Control. We've got her cousin, Cameron, and his mom. So it should definitely get interesting. But, all right, I will be back tonight with Jay to talk about new comics. I do not know what the lineup today is, so you'll just have to play hit or miss. But we'll definitely be back at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for In Stores this week. I will see you then. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for indulging me with being ill. I am trying to get back up to speed. Hopefully each day will get better and I'll get back to normal by next week. So thank you again. We will see you, and please hit those like and subscribe buttons. They help a lot. And I'll see you later on. Good night, everybody.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.